In October, in general, the economic performance remains stable. In face with complexity in China and abroad, under the strong leadership of CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, all localities have implemented the decisions and deployment from CPC Central Committee and State Council. We have coordinated the epidemic prevention and control and the social and economic development. We are seeing the economic performance continue to improve, and also we have stable CPI. The employment market also have some improvement. The market expectation is within our range, and also the general economic performance is within our range. First, we are seeing the industrial production has good improvement, and also we have good performance of high-tech industry. And also for the harvest situation is having some improvement. The summer crops have increased by 50%, and also in general, the general crops and grain production will reach over 13,000 tons. And also the industrial production has been increased by 0.4% compared to last year. For the 2-year average, also we have a 2% improvement compared to the previous 2 years. If we look at it by 3 major categories, the added value of the mining industry increased by 2.5%, the manufacturing industry, electricity, heat gas, water supplies, and other industries increased by 10%. The high-tech industry also increased by 10%, 7% faster than last year. On the 2-year average, the growth rate is 10%. If we look at the products for the NEVs, the industrial robots, and the integrated circuit increased by 127%, 22%, and 10.6% respectively. If we look at the economic type, the added value of SOEs increased by 5.2%, the joint equity enterprises increased by 4.2%, foreign and Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan invested enterprises increased by 1%, and private enterprises increased by 3%. For the first 10 months, the average growth rate is 10% for the added value above designated size. And the PMI in October is 42%, and also for the high-tech industry is 52%. And also the business activities index is 53.6%. For the first 9 months, the total profits earned by the industry enterprises above designated size reached 6.3 trillion yuan. And also, the average growth rate is 8.2% for 2 years. And this has also increased by 1.9% compared to the same period. Second, we are seeing some recovery of the service industry and also a fast improvement in the modern service industry. In October, the production index of service production increased by 8%. 2 percentage points faster than last year. And for the information technology service area increased by 40.8%. For the rental and commercial service, the index increased by 9% for the first 10 months. The index of business activity also increased by 6.2%. So for the information transmission software and IT service, the index has been increased by 9%. And also for the first 9 months, we also see a 10% improvement in general. In October, the index of business activity is 56.5%. And also for the telecommunication service, the information transmission software and IT service sector, the business activity index are above 56% for 2 consecutive months. The market expectation index also remain at a high level. And third, we are seeing an improvement for the market sales, especially for the consumption of the consumption upgrading products. In October, the retail sales of consumer goods reached 4 trillion, 4.6% compared to the last year, and 8% improvement compared to the last month. the month-on-month improvement is 0.4%. If we look at the location, the retail sales from urban areas increased by 4.8%. For the retail sales from rural areas, register an improvement of 5.6%. If we look at the categories, the revenue from the products reached 3.6 trillion yuan, and the catering sector also have an improvement of 2%. In general, we are seeing a big improvement for the consumption of the upgrading products. Especially, we are seeing some food and alcohol product consumption have been improved. Especially, I would like to emphasize the consumption of the upgrading products, especially for the cosmetics, jewelries, and the office supplies. They have been improved by the 34% and 11.5% respectively. For the first 10 months, the total online sales has improved 36.5%, reaching 36 trillion yuan. And for the first 10 months, the online sales of physical goods also up by 37%. This has a 14.6%, accounting for 23.7% of the retail sales of consumer goods. Fourth, we also see a steady investment on the fixed assets. Especially, we are seeing some of the investment for the high-tech industry. So in general, the investment on fixed assets reaching 46 trillion yuan. For the 2-year average, the improvement is 36%, leveling off of the situation for the first 9 months. If we look at different areas, for the investment in the infrastructure increased by 1%, the investment in manufacturing increased by 1.2%, investment in real estate increased by 7%. And for the sales of the commercial residential building reaching 1.4 billion square meters, and for the sales of the commercial residential buildings reaching 13 trillion yuan and registering at 8.8% year-over-year growth. If we look at the industries, the investment in primary industry increased by 1%, in secondary industry increased by 3%. Also, we see a decent increase in the tertiary industry. And also, we have an 8% increase in the investment in the private investment, 1 percentage point faster than September. Also, we see the investment in high-tech industry increased by 17%. Within the high-tech manufacturing industry and also the high-tech service industry, the investment increased by 23% and 6%. For the manufacturing of PCs and office supplies under high-tech manufacturing industry, the investment has been improved by 29%. Under high-tech service industry, the e-commerce service sector and the service sector in commercialization of research findings, we have seen an improvement of 80% and 9% respectively. We also see an improvement of 9% in the investment of social sector. We are seeing 28% improvement in the investment in the healthcare and also 9% in the investment of the education. And fifth, we are also seeing the trade volume continue to grow. In October, the total trade volume is 3.3 trillion yuan. Export increased by 29%, and also the import increased by 14%. We are enjoying a surplus over 500 billion yuan. And for the first 10 months, the total trade volume reached 37 trillion yuan. The export increased by 2.5%, and the import increased by 25.5%. For the general trade volume, accounting for 61% of the total trade volume, increased by 1.4 percentage point year-over-year. For the total volume of the private enterprises, accounting for 48% of the total trade volume. The export of the mechanical products increased by 22%, accounting for 58% of the total export. Six, we are seeing a stable employment situation, leveling off the survey jobless rate for the first 10 months. A total of 11.3 million new jobs were created. We have already delivered the annual target. And the urban survey jobless rate has decreased by 0.4%. And for the jobless rate for the migrants from other cities, also seeing a good decline. And the jobless rate for age between 25 years old to 59 years old, the jobless rate is 42%, leveling off with September. And the jobless rate for 31 major cities is 5.1%. The average working hours per week is about 48.7 hours. Seventh, CPI growth rate is moderate. PPI also have a big increase. In October, the CPI increased by 1.5% compared to last month, faster than last month. And also the month-on-month growth is 0.7%. And also we are seeing a 0.9% decrease in the price for the food and alcohol. And the daily necessities and service increased by 0.9%, transportation and communication down by 3.9%, education and culture and entertainment increased by 2.9%, medical service and healthcare increased by 0.6%. Within food and alcohol, the price of the pork down by 44%, vegetable down by 15%, grain price down by 0.9%, fruit price down by 0.5%. If we deduct the food and energy price, the core CPI increased by 1.1%. In October, in general, the CPI increased by 0.7%. In October, the PPI, if we compare to last year, increased by 15%, also faster than the growth rate of last month. For the purchase price, we also see a 17% year-over-year, which is also faster than September. For the first 10 months, for the PPI and the purchase price have registered a 7.3 and 10% increase, respectively. In general, the economic performance in October is stable, but still we have to consider the uncertainties from the international environment. We still face a lot of uncertainties, and also we still have some difficulties. We still have to do our best to recover the economy. And in the future, we have to stay committed to implement the Xi Jinping law on socialism with Chinese characteristics. For the new era, we have to pursue progress while ensuring stability. We have to exercise the new development paradigm. We have to continue to adjust the microeconomy to make sure that economic performance within reasonable range, to make sure that we can deliver all the key indicators of the year. Thank you. Thank you for Mr. Fu's introduction. Now the floor is open for questions. Thank you. With CMG CCTV. Just now, I have here some of the updates of the economic performance. I could see in several areas, for example, the industry production, the service industry, and the market sales. Also, the investment, we are seeing a big improvement compared to last month. So what are some of the factors behind? What is your evaluation on the sustainability of the economic performance? Thank you. Thank you for your question. If we look at the performance in October, we are seeing that the economy is still recovering. When we are coordinating the epidemic prevention and control with the economic and social development, we are still doing our best to ensure the CPI and the major micro indicators. And also, we are stepping up our efforts to ensure livelihood. I would like to emphasize a few points. First, in general, the economic performance remains stable. If you look at the key indicators, for some of them, they have some improvement and some of them have some decline. But in general, if you look at the 2-year average, all of these indicators are recovering. For the key indicators, we are seeing some big increase. For example, the industry added value above designated size increased by 10%, and also the service indicators also increased by 10%, and also the retail sales of consumer goods also have a 14%. And if we look at some of the micro indicators, for example, the jobless rate, it is about 5% in October, and also we have 0.7% increase of the CPI. All of these indicators are meeting the target for this year. And also for the foreign reserve, we are able to deliver the goal of achieving $3.2 trillion. And also we have a solid foundation to develop our industries. Even though we are faced with the challenge posed by the epidemic, but still we are ensuring that we have a good agriculture development. For example, we are seeing some improvement for the summer crops and the autumn harvest. In October, the industry added value above designated size has reached a 5% increase if we compare to the last 2 years. And also the service index also 1.2% faster than last year. In October, for example, for the coal, we have 4% increase, and we have turned negative into positive growth. And also for the production of the circuit, also we have seen a 40% increase. And if we look at the cargo transportation, we also see a good improvement in the transportation in railway and the airway. And at the same time, we are seeing our employment situation remain stable. In October, the urban survey jobless rate is 4.9%, and this figure is actually lower than 2019 and 2020, and especially for the jobless rate for age between 25 to 59 years old is about 4.2%. This is quite a low level. We have sufficient stock in the market, so the CPI is quite moderate. So in October, the CPI increased only 0.5%, and also we see some of the decline in key daily necessities, and also we have very good market sales. And this is also registered 1.5% compared to September. Especially, we are seeing some big consumption increase in the catering sector. So all of these will meet the needs of our local people. Fourth, we have continued to optimize the structure. For example, the added value for the industry added value above the designated size, we are seeing some big improvement, especially for the area of the manufacturing industry and also the high-tech industry. And also we are seeing some good product output. For example, for the NEVs, the output has registered an increase of 27%. We are continuing to improve the consumption structure. For example, the revenue of the cosmetics, jewelries, and vehicle-related products also registered double-digit growth. So for the investment in the high-tech industry, we also see a good momentum, especially in the investment for the high-tech manufacturing industry and the high-tech service industry. This means that the economic performance still remains stable. But still, we are faced with a lot of uncertainties posed by international business environment. So we are seeing some of the enterprises, they are still under pressure. And in the future, we have to emphasize the decisions made by the CPC Central Committee and the State Council. We have to implement the philosophy of new development paradigm. We have to do our best to deliver all the goals set by this year. Thank you. Next question, please. With cover news, we realized that we are seeing some of the figure of PPI and the CPI. Can you give us more introduction about the gap between the PPI, the purchase price, and also the CPI? Thank you. Thank you for your question. So actually, we could see in October, we have big increasement for the CPI and the PPI. The PPI has increased by 1.5%, and also this is quite faster compared to September. And for the CPI, also have 2.8% faster than last month. So I would say PPI have a larger increase, and this will also have some impact on the CPI. If you look at the situation of the PPI, if we look at the structure, this is because some of the upstream industry have some price increase. In October, some of these raw material has increased by 50% in their cost. These also have a 13% increase for the PPI. For the raw materials, it has been increased by 16.6% in the cost. And you could see for the upstream industries, some of the costs increased faster than the downstream areas. And also there were two reasons causing the increase of the PPI. First is the increase of the commodity price. So right now we have a tight supply and demand situation in the world. And also for this PPI figure has increased by 16%. And this will also have an impact of the price of the petroleum in China. For example, for the fuel and some of the petroleum chemical products, all of these categories have a big increase for the price. Second, in China, we have a tight supply for the coal and the fuel in China. For example, in October, the cost for the coal mining and the steel have registered double-digit growth. As right now we are seeing a big increase of the price of the commodity, the central government have taken effective measures to monitor the price. And relevant departments also release a lot of measures to maintain a stable price. And right now we have already seen some of the progress. For example, we have seen some improvement for the energy prices. Start from late October and the early November, if we look at some of the costs in the circulation areas, we are seeing some of the decline of the price of the coal. Thank you. Next question, please. With Shenzhen Satellite TV, in October, we are seeing a fast increase of export and also a decreased import, and also we are enjoying a big surplus with the United States. Can you tell us more about the trade performance? I would say in October, the trade volume continues to grow, and also we are maintaining a good momentum as compared to September. So for the export has been increased by 17%, and the imports increased by 20%. All of these two areas also register faster growth compared to September. If we look at the first 10 months, the total trade volume has registered an improvement of 22%. And actually, we have enjoyed a good trade volume with our major trade partners. So, for example, with ASEAN countries and the countries along the Belt and Road route, all of the trade volume has increased by over 20%. Also, we are continue to improve the trade structure. For example, for the first 10 months, the general trade volume accounting for 61% of the total trade volume. And for the trade volume of the private enterprises accounting for 48% of the total trade volume. And also, I would like to emphasize that we have a big export increase of the mechanical products, accounting for 58% of the total export. I would like to emphasize a few factors boosting the trade volume in China. So right now we have strong capability to provide export services to other countries. And the second, we are seeing the global economy is recovering, and also the demand is increasing from the global market. If we look at the manufacturer PMI, if we look at the number of orders also picked up 0.4% compared to last month. And also we are continuing to implement the measures to stabilizing the foreign investment and the foreign trade. If we look at the situation in the first 9 months, and also we have a 20% increase for the cross-border e-commerce business. And also you mentioned we have enlarging the trade surplus. This is due to several reasons. First, under the epidemic, we are seeing that the global economy is recovering. Because of the impact of the COVID-19, in the past, some of the supply chain have been cut off, but still China is able to export products to meet the needs from our global clients. Second, we are continue to upgrade different industries. We are also seeing a good competitiveness of Chinese enterprises. And also I mentioned that for the general trade, accounting for a larger portion of the total trade volume in China. So also we are seeing a big increasement of the added value in the general trade, and this will also contribute to the trade surplus. And also we are having a lot of innovation to meet the diversified needs from the global markets. For example, we are exporting a great amount of medical supplies to other countries, and also we are exporting the vaccines to other countries, and this will also contribute to the trade surplus. Thank you. So my question is about the market sales and also the retail sales of the consumer goods. Can you give us your comments on the consumption market performance by year end? I believe all of you attach great importance to the consumption markets. I will say in October, we are still recovering our consumption. The retail sales of consumer goods in October have registered a 5% increase. First, we are seeing a steady recovery of the consumption of daily products. So for the commodity sales has increased by 5%, 7 percentage point faster than September. And for 18 categories, I would say 9 categories have a big increase of the retail sales. And also we have a strong market. And we are ensuring the daily needs of our people. In October, for example, the sales of the grain and the food and alcohol, also we are seeing a decent improvement. And also with the improvement of the livelihood, we also see a increased consumption of the upgrading products. And for example, we are seeing for some of the office supplies also have a big improvement. And also we are launching the new consumption models. For example, we are making good use of the internet and the e-commerce. And this will also bring convenience to our local people. In the first 10 months, the total online sales has increased by 14.6% year-over-year, accounting for 23% of the retail sales of consumer goods. And this means that we are quite resilient of our consumption market. And also we have a lot of innovation in the consumption. With the recovery of the economy and the increase of the income, I believe in the future we have a strong backing for the market consumption. But still, we are faced with a lot of uncertainties because the COVID-19 is still spreading across the world. And right now, we also see some sporadic cases happened in different provinces and cities. And in the future, we have to coordinate the epidemic prevention and control with the economic and the social development. But we have to do our best to meet the needs of our local people. Thank you. Next question, please. My question is also about PPI. PPI has reached a record as compared to 1995. And also for some of the pressure, they're actually converting from the upstream market to the downstream market. Will that pose some of the challenges? What measures will be taken by the government? Thank you. First, I would like to say, for PPI growth rate, this is not a new record. Because start from 1993, in the past, we do see a big increase, over 20%. So right now, the PPI increase is not setting a new record. But you do mention some of the concerning issues. In Q3, impacted by the flooding and the epidemic, we do see the economic growth rate is slowing down. And also we are seeing an increase of the commodity price. And this will also have an impact of the energy prices. And this will cause the increase of the PPI. So it seems like it will pose a big challenge for us. But in general, the situation is controllable because we are affected by certain factors. But if we look at the economic performance, after we remove all of those factors, we still see a strong momentum to recover the economic performance. If we look at the key indicators and the key index, most of them are showing strong momentum. And also you're talking about the market supply and the market price. We're regulating all of these areas. For these areas also help to boost the economic performance. If we look at the CPI, even though we are seeing the big increase of the energy prices in the world, however, in China, we are expanding our capacity. And also we are showing a lot of support to the local enterprises, and this will also help to mitigate the PPI. If we look at the CPI, in general, the growth rate is quite moderate. And in October, the CPI also increased by 0.1%. And also the core CPI only increased by 0.3%. And also we are expecting a good harvest this year. And the pork price is also decreasing. So this will also help to lower the overall CPI. Also, we have sufficient market supply. So we are not expecting a big increase of the CPI. So if we look at all of these factors, I believe the CPI growth rate will remain moderate. However, we are seeing because of the increase of the price of the commodity, this may also pose some of the pressure of the enterprises. So we have to do a good job to regulate the price to make sure that economic performance is within a reasonable range. Thank you. Next question, please. With CMG CCTV CRI. So I would say we have a good performance of the industry production. So what is your evaluation of the future development of the industry production? Thank you. In Q3, affected by flooding and the COVID-19, some of the raw materials production do have some restriction. However, as we compare to enlarge our capacity and also to roll out some preferential measures, I believe the situation will improve. The industry added value above destined size increased by 3%, and for the 2-year average, the growth rate is about 5%. So right now we are seeing a diversified product output. So for example, we are seeing among the 44 categories, 22 categories have an improvement in the added value. And also we are seeing a good increase of the product output. Second, we are seeing some of the upgrading in the industry production. Especially, I would like to emphasize the high-tech industry. The added value of the high-tech industry has over 10% increase. Especially, I would like to emphasize the integrated circuit and also some of the new industry robots. For example, for the integrated circuit and the industry robot product output, these two categories have registered a growth of over 20%. And also for the consumer goods, for some of the manufacturing industry also have a big improvement compared to last year. So also I would like to emphasize the energy supply, especially the electricity, heat, gas, water production, and supply industries. We are seeing a big improvement. So for example, the heat supplies has increased by 9.2%, and also the gas production has registered at 10.7%. We are seeing some positive change for the industry production, and this will provide a strong support for the economic performance. But still, as I said, we are faced with a lot of challenges posed by the global market, and also we are seeing a lot of enterprises, they are under huge pressure. So we still have to pay attention to the recovery of the industry production. But we are confident that we will continue to roll out innovative measures so that we can embrace a bright outlook for the industry production.
The infrastructure investment grew 1% in the first 10 months. And that's despite the government trying to encourage local governments to issue more bonds to pay for infrastructure. What is your expectation for infrastructure investment for the whole year, and when do you expect that to pick up? And my second question is, how much of the increase in industrial output and retail sales is due to inflation? Obviously, prices are rising, which will increase the value-added price of both industrial output and things that are being sold in shops. Thank you.
请翻译一下问题。您好，我是 是美国消费者商业与新闻频道的记者，我有2个问题。第一个问题是关于基础设施投资，前10个月基础设施投资增长了1%，同时呢，中央政府也在让地方政府通过债券的方式来支持基础设施投资。那么我想问的是，预计全年的基础设施投资将会是多少？什么时候能够实现进一步的增长？我的第2个问题是关于工业增加值。现在，请问统计局对于哪些工业增加值大概有多大的这个数目是由于通胀所造成的？有没有一个估算？因为我们可以看到，因为价格的上涨，使得工业的增加值也有一些增长。那么，请问对此统计局有什么样的估算？谢谢。
谢谢您的提问。
Thank you for your question. You're paying attention to the investment in the infrastructure, and also you were talking about the industry production, especially the added value. So first, the investment in the infrastructure remains stable. In the first 10 months, the investment in infrastructure registered 0.3% growth compared to the last 2 years. So in the future, we still have a strong backing for the investment in the infrastructure, especially for some of the projects under 14th Five-Year Plan. They are started to be implemented. And also we are accelerating the issuing of the bond, and this will also contribute to the investment in the infrastructure. And next, with all of the measures being implemented, I believe all of these investment in infrastructure will continue to improve. As you mentioned, the industrial added value above designated size, I would like to mention about the calculation. In October, if we deduct the commodity price, we still see a big increase of the industrial added value. Thank you. Next question, please. With CNBC, I have 3 questions. So first, can you tell us more about the employment of the younger generation? And the second, I would like to ask a question about the consumption. For example, do we have any measures to boost the consumption in the real estate? And any factors to affect the market sales? And third, what is the impact of the logistics for the market consumption? Thank you for your question. First, I would like to answer your question relating to the employment. In October, the employment situation remains stable. The jobless rate is only 4.9% in October, and this is lower than last year and also lower than 2019. The jobless rate for young generation is about 14.2%. I would say this figure has been declined for 3 consecutive months, so the employment situation is improving. This is because right now we have more university students coming to the market and get a job. And also you're talking about the consumption, you're talking about the consumption in the real estate market. I want to emphasize that right now we are recovering some of the market sales. So right now we are rolling out a lot of preferential measures to boost the consumption of the real estate market, and we are trying to stabilize the residential housing price. As you are seeing that we have a larger sales area of the commercial residential building, and also the sales has been increased slightly compared to last year. When you're talking about the manufacturing industry, so for the earlier stage, actually we do have some logistics issues, but right now we are improving the transportation. In the first 10 months, actually the cargo transportation has a good improvement compared to the last year. If we look at the situation of the manufacturing industry, the production is stable. The added value has been increased by 5%, leveling off with that of last year. If we look at the performance of the first 10 months, actually the investment in the manufacturing industry also registered a double-digit growth. And also we are seeing a good profit earned by the manufacturing industry. The profit rate is 6.5%. However, we understand that the commodity price has been increased in the upstream industries, and this may also have an impact of the performance of the manufacturing industry. Relevant departments have already released regulations to monitor the price, and also we are providing a lot of inclusive support to the manufacturing industry so as to stabilize the market expectation. Thank you. Next question, please. With Hong Kong media, right now we are still seeing some of the rebound of the epidemic. My question is, are we able to deliver the annual goal for the economic performance? Thank you. Thank you for your question. So we all realize that recently we do see some sporadic cases in different cities in China, but in general, in the past 1 year, we have accumulated valuable experience in preventing and controlling the epidemic. I believe the epidemic will not have a big impact of the economic performance. Even though we are faced with some of the challenges, but still, we are confident that we could maintain this good momentum of the economic performance. For example, we are seeing some enlarged demand from the market. And also right now, the employment market is stable. And this will also help to boost the consumption. For example, in October, the retail sales of consumer goods have registered a 5%, and this is also faster than September. I believe as we continue to see some improvement of the epidemic, and we are expecting a stronger consumption market. And also we are investing a lot of projects under 14th Five-Year Plan. All of these will help to boost the market sales. So for example, for the investment in the infrastructure and the high-tech industry, we also see a big increasement. And at the same time, we are encouraging private investment. In the first 10 months, the private investment has increased by 1.9% compared to September. And also we will continue to open up. We will uphold the multilateralism, and also we would like to boost the free trade and liberalization of the trade. So as I mentioned, for the trade volume in the first 10 months, we are seeing a 20% increase of the trade volume with the countries along the Belt and Road route. And also just in October, we are also having a 3.3 year-over-year growth of the total trade volume. We will continue to delegate powers and to improve the services. So we try to free our market and inject more vitality of the market. So in the future, we will have more new forms and new forms of business. So for the first 10 months, we could see the online sales of physical goods is up by 12%. So in general, we have very good starting point. And also we are seeing the market sales of the green products also recovering. So all of these will contribute to the economic performance of the year. Thank you. So my question is about the national holiday. So what is the consumption situation for the national holiday? And also my second question is relating to the employment market. Can you tell us more about it? As you mentioned, the national holiday, according to relevant departments, we could see for the consumption is actually lower than that of last year, but still we are seeing a big increase of the ticket office, ticket box. You mentioned about the market expectation and also the business activity index. For certain indicators, we are seeing some decline, but still I would say the market expectation remains stable. With the recovery of the economy, for the business activity index in October is actually above the threshold. So actually, we still have a positive outlook for the service sector. We're still recovering the service industry at this moment. Even though the national index of the service production is slowing down, but still the production index still have an increase of about 5%. First, for some of the non-contact sectors, we are seeing some big improvement. For example, we are seeing some of the consumption from the e-commerce platform and the online markets. For example, the service index of the information transmission software and the IT service register about 5% increase. And also we are accelerating the cargo transportation. If we look at the circulation of the cargo transportation, this is faster than that of September. And also for the transport, warehouse, and post services also register a 1.3%. So for some of the index, even though they are lower compared to our expectation, but this is because of the impact of the epidemic. In October, the service index for the wholesale and the retail sector also have a 0.7% increase compared to September. And also, the national holiday has played a key role to boost the consumption in the accommodation and catering sector. As we continue to improve the high-quality development of the service industry, we are seeing that actually the export for the service sector in China has already increased by 9%. And this is actually faster than the rate that of January to August, even though we have some restriction, but still we are seeing a good momentum of the development of the service industry. And this will also help to meet the needs of our people and boost the economic performance. Next question, please. With Hong Kong media, we realized that in 2020, so GDP has already surpassed 100 trillion yuan, but in 2021, we still face a lot of uncertainties posed by COVID-19. So we are expecting that the GDP will continue to grow this year. So my question is, what sectors will help to boost the GDP growth in China for 2021? Thank you for your question. Actually, I already covered a few points related to the economic performance. I would say we still enjoy a good momentum of the economic performance. You are asking what sectors will provide support to the overall economic performance. I would say first, we have some momentum from certain upgrading industry. For especially, I would like to mention the high-tech manufacturing industry and the high-tech service industry. We're also making more investment in the high-tech service industry. So all of these industries will provide support to the economic development in China. And second, I would like to mention some of the innovative factors. All of those innovations will also drive the development. For example, for some of the low carbon and the green products, we are seeing some figures coming up. For example, for the new energy vehicles and the integrated circuits, we are expecting a good product output. So all of these output also contribute to the economic performance. And also under the epidemic, we are seeing the government has rolled out a lot of measures to ensure the supplies to our people. So we are seeing a big consumption increase for all of those daily necessities and the supplies. All of these factors will help the Chinese economy to drive towards a high-quality development. Thank you for your questions, and that's the end of the press conference.